Hey guys, so today I'll be reading Matthew 27 and 28, which is one recording of the Easter story in the Bible. Make sure you are studying your memory verse for Thursday, and then Tuesday and Wednesday we'll have two other versions of the Easter story that are in the Bible as well. Well, not different versions, sorry, different recordings. They're all the same story, just recorded differently. That's it. And make sure you're paying attention because it's really important. This is Jesus' death and resurrection. As well as on Wednesday, I want you to tell me which version you liked best and why for your writing assignment. So just be paying good attention. All right. Early in the morning, all the chief priests and the elders of the people made their plans on how to have Jesus executed. So they bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate the governor. When Judas, who betrayed Jesus, saw that Jesus was condemned, he was seized with remorse and returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests. I have sinned, he said, for I have betrayed innocent blood. What is that to us? They replied. That's your responsibility. So Judas threw the money into the temple and left. So he went away and hanged himself. The chief priests picked up the coins and said, "It is against the law to put this into the treasury since it's blood money." So they decided to use the money to buy the potter's field as a burial place for foreigners. This is why it is called the field of blood to this day. Then what was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet was fulfilled. They took the 30 pieces of silver, the price set on him by the people of Israel, and used it to buy the potter's field as the Lord commanded. Meanwhile, Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, "Are you king of the Jews?" "You have said so," Jesus replied. Even when he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he gave no answer. Then Pilate asked him, "Do you hear the testimony they are bringing against you?" But Jesus made no reply, not even a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. Now it was the governor's custom at the festival to release a prisoner chosen by the crowd. At that time they had a well-known prisoner whose name was Barabbas. So when the crowd had gathered, Pilate asked them, "Which one do you want me to release to you, Barabbas or Jesus, who is called the Messiah?" For he knew it was out of self-interest that they had handed Jesus over to him. While Pilate was set on the judge's seat, his wife sent him the message, "Do you have anything to do with the innocent man? For I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him." But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus executed. "Which of the two do you want me to release to you?" asked the governor. "Barabbas," they answered. "What shall I do then with Jesus who is called the Messiah?" Pilate asked. They all answered, "Crucify him." "Why? What crime has he committed?" asked Pilate. But they all shouted louder, "Crucify him." When Pilate saw that he was getting nowhere, but instead an uproar was starting, he took water and washed his hands in front of the crowd. "I am innocent of this man's blood," he said. "It is your responsibility." All the people answered, "His blood is on us and our children." And he released Barabbas to them. He had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified. The soldiers mocked Jesus. Then the governor's soldiers took Jesus into the Praetorium and gathered the whole company of soldiers around him. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him, and then twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on his head. They put a staff in his right hand. Then they knelt in front of him and mocked him. "Hail, King of the Jews," they said. They spit on him and took the staff and struck him on the head again and again. After they had mocked him, they took off the robe and put his clothes on him. They had then led him away to be crucified. The crucifixion of Jesus. As they were going out, they met a man from Cyrene named Simon, and they forced him to carry the cross. They came to a place called Golgotha, which means place of the skull. There they offered Jesus wine to drink mixed with gall, but after tasting it, refused to drink it. When they had crucified him, they divided up his clothes by casting lots, and sitting down, they kept watch over there. Above his head they placed a written charge against him. This is Jesus, King of the Jews. 2 rebels were crucified with him, one on his right and one on his left. They passed time by hurling insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, "You are going to destroy the temple and build it up in 3 days. Save yourself. Come down from the cross if you are a son of God." In the same way, the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders mocked him. "He saved others," they said, "but he can't save himself. He's the King of Israel. Let him come down from the cross and we will believe in him. He trusts in God. He let God rescue him if he wants. For he said, 'I am the Son of God.'" In the same way, the rebels who were crucified with him hurled insults at him. The death of Jesus. From noon until 3, the afternoon darkness came over the land. At 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lema," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of those standing there heard this, they said, "He called Elijah." Immediately one of them ran and got a sponge. He fitted it with wine vinegar, put it on a staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him." And Jesus had cried out in a loud voice. He gave up his spirit. At the moment, the curtain of the temple was torn from top to bottom. The earth shook, the rocks split, and the tomb broke open. The bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They came out from tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people. When the centurion and those with him who were guarding Jesus saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were terrified and exclaimed, "Surely he was the Son of God." Many women were there watching from a distance. They followed Jesus from Galilee to care for his needs. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of Zebedee's son. And as evening approached, there came a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph, who had himself become a disciple of Jesus. Going to Pilate, he asked for Jesus' body, and Pilate ordered that it be given to him. Joseph took the body, wrapped it in a clean linen cloth, and placed it in his new tomb that he had cut out from the rock. He rolled a big stone in front of the entrance of the tomb and went away. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were sitting there opposite the tomb. The next day, the one after preparation day, the chief priests and the Pharisees went to Pilate. "Sir," they said, "we remember that while he was still alive, the deliverer said, 'After 3 days I will rise again.' So I give the order for the tomb to be secure until the 3rd day. Otherwise his disciples may come and steal the body and tell the people that he had risen from the dead. This last deception will be worse than the first." "Take a guard," Pilate answered. "Go, make the tomb secure as you know how." So they went and made the tomb secure by putting a seal on the stone and posting the guard. After the Sabbath, at dawn on the 1st day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to the tomb. There was a violent earthquake, and an angel of the Lord came down from heaven, going to the tomb, rolled back the stone, and sat on it. Its appearance was like lightning, and its clothes were white as snow. The guards were so afraid of him that they shook and became like dead men. The angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid. I know that you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. He is not here. He is risen, just as he said. Come and see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell the disciples he has risen from the dead and is going ahead of you to Galilee. Then you will see him. Now I have told you." So the women hurried away from the tomb, yet filled with joy, and ran to the disciples. Surely Jesus met them. "Greetings," he said. They came to him, clasped his feet, and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me." While the women were on their way, some of the guards went to the city and reported to the chief priest everything that had happened. When the chief priests had met the elders and devised a plan, they gave to the soldier a large sum of money. "Tell me, you are to say his disciples came in the night and stole him away while you were asleep. If the report gets to the governor, we will satisfy him and keep you out of trouble." So the soldiers took the money and did as they were instructed. And this story has been widely circulated among the Jews to this very day. Then the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. When they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. Then Jesus came to them and said, All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. All right, so there's that first one. All right, bye guys.